Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
What gives you the right? What's the difference between you and me?
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
This is Sparta!
Big moments come and go all the time, but in the middle of millions of such events, there are certain gems that create their own legacy in the most prominent way imaginable, and not the Diddy kind. The 21st century has already had quite a few of these moments, and since the TV region has always been known to celebrate such moments, we're going to be doing it again today with the most iconic movie flexes of the century so far.
Another ball grab, Johnny.
After such an uplifting intro, I know it's a bit odd to see Johnny English on this list, but if we consider the flex on display here, I'm sure that each and every man on the planet will agree that it deserves a mention. It's badass enough that he's being played by the one and only Rowan Atkinson, but the moment launches to a completely different level when Simon tries to kick him in his crown jewels and nothing happens at all. Normally watching another man's eggs getting scrambled is enough for any other male to feel pain, but in this case, I think the male audience felt that kick more than Mr. English did. What makes this flex even more iconic is the way he smiles and even yawns as Simon keeps trying to make some kind of impact. I mean, we felt more mercy for the villain when Mr. Bean returned the favour in style right after. Also, when Simon asked English, "What's the matter with you?" I don't think I could be in any more agreement with an antagonist. Those Tibet monks really operate on a whole other level, don't they?
Hey, Mia, you better hide your baby, or
I'm just playing.
you better hide that big-ass forehead.
I was just joking.
Dwayne Johnson has never held back from roasting other people. I mean, just look at how he keeps firing shots at Kevin Hart. Bro's twice his size, but he still spares no mercy. So if you put him up against a crybaby like Tyrese Gibson, then you know you're in for a total violation. This one's from the Fast and Furious franchise back when it was still somewhat enjoyable despite its ridiculousness. It's essentially one roast after the other as Roman Pierce tries to mock Hobbs for being a baby oil enthusiast. If that's the age range he's looking at, then he should have probably targeted Drake because Hobbs' response was way too savage. To have one bald man violate another bald man by mocking the size of his forehead is simply diabolical. Aren't all baldies supposed to be one big happy family? Come on. What would Vin Diesel say if he sees you guys fighting over your similarities? I've also got to shout out Ludacris for that priceless reaction, and just so you know, he wasn't actually acting there.
Man, I know you've done your homework and so you know that money isn't a big part of my life, but at the moment I could buy Mount Auburn Street, take the Phoenix Club, and turn it into my ping pong room.
Just because someone looks like a nerd doesn't necessarily mean he's not going to flex his status and bank account on you. The real-life Mark Zuckerberg is one of the clearest examples of this statement, and another perfect representative of the same is the guy who played him in The Social Network. Jesse Eisenberg was much better off playing characters like these rather than Superman's arch-nemesis, but whatever, man. Now, this particular scene is when Eduardo is having a go at Mark for allegedly promising him his fair share of Facebook, only to then turn on him.
We'll split it, 70-30. 70 for me, 30 for you for putting up the $1,000 and for handling everything on the business end. You're CFO.
And you said?
I said, let's do it.
Now, there are lawyers and attorneys present to make sure things are civil, but when you're on the path to become a future billionaire, you won't really care about such matters now, would you? That's exactly why Mark made it very clear to Eduardo about what all he could buy and turn into his ping pong room. Oh yeah, I know it's not a direct part of this scene, but I also got to highlight the part where he tells the Winklevoss twins,
If you guys were the inventors of Facebook, you'd have invented Facebook.
damn, that had to sting.
And I see we have our first surrender. Don't worry, Mr. Zuckerberg. Brighter men than you have tried and failed at this class.
One valid bit, one modified bit, one reference bit, 5 permission bits.
That is correct. Does everybody see how he got there?
Bruce Willis may not be the badass we've all known him to be anymore, but that doesn't take away from the fact that he's essentially raised a whole generation of men into thinking that Die Hard is the ultimate Christmas movie. There are quite a few flexes from this series that could be considered legendary, but a massive chunk of them are from the 90s, so they don't qualify for this list. One particular that does is the one where John McClane takes down a freaking chopper using a police car. Yeah, this is after an already intense battle, so to finish things off in such flamboyant fashion was totally reminiscent of the vibe we used to get from the other other Die Hard films. I mean, who in their right mind's gonna think, oh no, there's a chopper attacking me, I'll take that down by slamming a police car into it? Even Matt was wondering whether he'd be safer with the villain or with John at this point. The only issue for John here is that apart from Thomas Gabriel, he also awakened a new enemy in Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That's gonna wake the neighbors.
Imagine a king who fights his own battles. Wouldn't that be a sight?
Yeah, okay, we all know that this movie mainly became a hit because of the ladies loving Brad Pitt, but bro did a lot more than serve looks in 2004's Troy. There was a lot to be said about Achilles as a character, but nothing stood out more than when he decided to show his people that he was the kind of king who liked to fight his own battles. The match against the giant Boagrius would have seemed like a death wish to most, but to Achilles, all he needed was one strike to end it all. After witnessing this match, it honestly felt as if the giant was the underdog because he clearly stood no chance against that kind of speed and agility. On top of that, Achilles flexed a bit more by asking the rest of the opposition if there was anyone else who'd like to challenge him.
Is there no one else?
Man, imagine being so confident that you asked for an even tougher opponent after taking down Nathan Jones. This dude was Leonidas before 300 was a thing.
This is blasphemy. This is madness.
This is Sparta!
Speaking of King Leonidas, here he is in a higher position than Achilles, but the main reason for that is because of how over-dramatic Zack Snyder made this seem. 300 is actually the perfect example of a king fighting his own battles, but the way Leonidas kicks it off is what blew me away. Sure, kicking the messenger into an endless pit of despair may be a bit unfair considering the victim was just trying to act tough, but hey, if you want to make a statement, you've got to make it as loud as possible. After all, with all of that testosterone flying around in the air, there was no way that Leonidas was going to be chill about the Persians threatening his people and mocking his queen. One epic line and brutal kick was what it took to spark the massive war that would follow this meeting. And I gotta give props to Leonidas for at least taking a second opinion on whether he should send the perfect message by ending the messenger himself.
Spartans! What is your profession?
Spartans! Ready your breakfast and eat hearty. But tonight, we dine in hell!
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Captain America has really got to be the nicest Avenger on the planet. Bro sees all the evil around him, but still wants to give it a chance to redeem itself. Take the elevator scene for example. Modern Gen Z kids may only recognize it as a meme, but the impact runs a lot deeper than surface level humor. Steve Rogers knew very well what was going on when the Hydra double agents abruptly entered the elevator, almost as if they were trying to intimidate him, but he was still confident in the fact that he could take on each and every one of those dudes. This was why he decided to pull one of the most memorable flexes of the entire MCU by offering an escape without injury to all the Hydra dudes in the elevator with him. Of course, people don't really respond well to kindness, so Captain America had to go the other way. And oh boy, did he put on a show or what. The man not only made a threat, he also proved it right after.
It kind of feels personal.
We will destroy Gotham. And then, when it is done, and Gotham is ashes, then you have my permission to die.
When you're up against Tom Hardy with his face covered, I think the best option would be just to leave him be, even if you happen to be Batman. The Dark Knight found that out the hard way when he tried to take on Bane during their first proper encounter. Yeah, I know it was a surprise, so the famed master of preparation couldn't use his secret skill to win the match, but that's no excuse for the brutal violations Bane handed to him, both physically and verbally.
I will show you where I have made my home, whilst preparing to bring justice. Then I will break you.
The punches were pretty straightforward, but to mock Batman by saying he merely adopted the darkness was crazy. It's not even like Bane was capping here. Bro followed through and even refused to let the Dark Knight pass away because he assumed control of that authority. This is literally the most badass thing to do in a Batman universe, so even though the movie hasn't exactly settled in as a classic, this particular scene does have a fan base of its own.
Oh, you think darkness is your ally? You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it.
It's not an epic list unless Darth Vader is in it. So here he is in that amazing surprise cameo from Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. Honestly, the MVP will always remain the OG Darth Vader, but since he dominated the 20th century as a villain, we'll have to do with what can best be described as an homage to his legacy. Also, you know what? Rest in peace, James Earl Jones. Your voice played a massive role in that legacy as well. Now, the finale of Rogue One had our heroes pretty much confirming their victory, but then they get a massive scare with Darth Vader's entrance, which goes on to show how much of an impact this one single character can make. I would have placed him at a higher position, but this sequence is more suited to being a badass display than a flex, which is why he lands at number 16, which is still pretty impressive by the TV region standards, owing largely to the nostalgia effect.
Be careful not to choke on your aspirations, Director.
Yep, the King of the Monsters also finds himself as a part of this decade's icons because, let's face it, after the abomination that was 1998's Victoria's Secret Zilla, the Americans desperately needed a W when it came to Godzilla. The battle against King Ghidorah may have been legendary in its own right, but the sequence that followed was what totally made this into a flex. Just imagine you've been beating an alien dragon with 3 heads, and then you have a massive group of titans coming towards you, but to pledge their allegiance. Yeah, Godzilla was ready to have a go at all of them, especially Rodan, but the moment those titans started bowing one after the other, bro knew he became the king. Celebrating the achievement with his iconic roar in conjunction with all the titans bowing down to him has got to be the best flex I've ever seen in a monster movie. After all, Godzilla isn't Japan's most popular kaiju for nothing, you know? I know there's a sequel to this film coming up, but to me, the OG Gladiator simply can't be surpassed in terms of storytelling and character development. The way Maximus finally comes full circle in his quest to get rid of Commodus and gain liberation was epic beyond words. There's also the fact that he used his victory to mark a new empire, free from corruption and evil. And you know what his first words were after such a great achievement? They were orders to free his men from imprisonment, just as he'd promised them. If this isn't the true mark of a leader, then I don't know what is. Also, the fight with Commodus in itself was a massive flex, especially towards the end when none of the knights wanted to help their own emperor. It just goes to show how much respect Maximus could command over the freaking throne itself. Man, I really miss the Ridley Scott who used to make classics like this.
Free my men. Senator Gracchus is to be reinstated. There was a dream that was wrong. It shall be realized. These are the wishes of Marcus Aurelius.
How did you get the house back from the bank?
I bought the bank.
Congratulations, by the way.
It's always good to have friends who've got your back, and it sure helps if they're rich. In the case that your friend happens to be Bruce Wayne, then you've hit the billionaire jackpot. You could be anyone in the world, but when you have the backing of Wayne Enterprises, it's hard for anyone else to mess with you from a financial standpoint. Take our very own Superman, for example. Bro's the most powerful being on Earth, but even he has money problems, so Batman coming to his rescue by buying an entire bank was a flex worthy of the gods.
Thank you is not enough what you did. I did a mistake, that's all.
Well, if you look at it another way, then you could say that this was Bruce Wayne's method of apologizing for almost taking Clark Kent's life in the previous film with all that extra kryptonite. But hey, all's well that ends well, right? Plus, he could have also gone through all of that trouble just for Martha, so let's just settle it calling it a gesture of goodwill, shall we?
What are your superpowers again?
I'm rich.
Ever notice how you come across somebody once in a while that you shouldn't have f***ed with? That's me.
The fuck? You put a finger at it.
Oh, shit.
Come on now. Hey, Pops. Come on now.
Clint Eastwood has been flexing way before the term became a widespread social media phenomenon. Now, a majority of his iconic films came out in the form of gems such as the Dollars trilogy and the Dirty Harry movies, but our man still managed to crack one in the current century with 2008's Gran Torino.
Do you have a problem with me, Mr. Kowalski?
You don't want to know.
No, I do.
Well, I think you're an overeducated 27-year-old virgin who likes to hold the hands of old ladies who are superstitious and promises them eternity.
This scene here was Kowalski saving a girl from a bunch of diddlers in front of her own date, who, funnily enough, happens to be Clint's son in real life. Bro was wearing that headpiece as if he was going to become the next Eminem, but the diddlers made him realize that his whole persona was just cap.
Shut up. What is all this bro shit anyway? Now get your old fave patty ass on down the road.
Kowalski doesn't care for silly slang. He's a badass war veteran and the language he speaks is the power of the bullet. Grandpa turned into granddaddy in a matter of seconds after he stopped playing and pulled out his weapon of choice. Seeing the diddlers treat him with respect after that totally elevated this scene beyond what we could consider a standard flex.
Take care now.
Yeah, you too.
I like the way you die, boy.
Top 10 territory has arrived, and so has Jamie Foxx for the first time on this list. Quentin Tarantino loves himself some violence and women's feet, but he also makes splendid movies whilst he's at it.
I said, this is my world. And in my world, you gotta get dirty. So that's what I'm doing. I'm getting dirty.
One of them happens to be Django Unchained, which has a perfect karma moment that was brilliantly built up and executed. Django obviously had a hard time under the Brittle brothers back when he was a slave, but now that he's a free and flamboyant man in a blue suit, Bro made sure that the world would see his vengeance.
And I'm curious, what makes you such a Mandingo expert?
I'm curious what makes you so curious.
The way he took down Big John was the best of them all, because he got to say that iconic line which brought everything back full circle. And yeah, if you look as good as that while murdering those who have wronged you, you're winning across all the scales. With dialogues as smooth as these, I want Tarantino to write a tagline for my gravestone as well.
Django! You uppity son of a... He's the guy who's the top.
Nice suit. Henry, this is Logan. He's
Wolverine. I hear you're quite an animal.
Look who's talking.
Oh man, I've covered this one multiple times, but it still feels like a scene that's highly underappreciated in the TVCU. The Beast and the Wolverine have never really gotten along from a pure friendship standpoint because they're effectively along similar lines when it comes to their mutations. One is literally called Beast and the other is essentially a rabid dog if he loses his temper. So yes, their first ever interaction on the big screen became a huge moment in the X-Men universe.
Who's the furball?
And in typical Logan fashion, he wins this verbal encounter with a witty retort to Beast's taunt of calling him an animal. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Bro really shouldn't have tried to attack the Wolverine with that kind of statement when he himself looks like he's the animal version of a distinguished gentleman.
Class dismissed. It doesn't matter if you're a kid with no special abilities or freaking Balrog. If Gandalf says you shall not pass, then you shall not. Yeah, that's right, even Yoda agrees with me on this one. This is a scene that deserves to be put in cinema's own Hall of Fame, and my repeated covering of it only proves the value of its legacy. Also, I just wanted to point out that Balrog didn't really take this encounter seriously until Gandalf said,
I am the servant of the secret fire, wielder of the flame of Arnor.
The moment he heard this, Balrog lit up and drew his sword like, ah damn, you ain't messing with me, are ya? Let's go. See, these are the scenes that make your childhood special while growing up. Modern cinema has lost that touch so badly that this scene may actually find itself in the same position by the time the century is over. Well, that is of course, if yours truly is still alive by then.
Fly, you fools!
Excuse me, I'm Eric Lensher.
Charles Xavier.
Go f yourself.
Logan comes back for another entry, and this is easily the best possible use of an F-bomb in a PG-13 film. No, seriously, I don't think anyone was prepared to see the young versions of Professor X and Magneto walk up to the freaking Wolverine to ask him to join their gang. This was enough to have everyone going crazy, because nobody knew about Hugh Jackman being a part of this film. However, they also didn't know that his only line in the film would include the most popular word in the history of R-rated conversations. It's the ultimate flex in the X-Men universe, because you've got their most popular character telling the other two legacy characters to go and, well, F themselves. You see, even the TV region can't use it here because the YouTube Sentinels are always monitoring me for some reason.
We came to you a long time ago seeking your help. And I'm going to say to you what you said to us then. Off.
If you let my daughter go now, that'll be the end of it. I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you, and I will kill you.
The comic book movies were starting to take over a bit, so it's nice to have a little change in the form of the world's deadliest father. Liam Neeson has a wealth of experience when it comes to acting, but nothing will ever be able to top his speech as Brian Mills from Taken. Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because it's become synonymous with the actor and the character that you can't really separate them anymore.
Put the phone closer so I can hear.
A lot of credit has to be given to the director for being able to build the scene in such a way that it ends with Brian's iconic "I will find you" line. The kidnapper may not have taken him seriously then, but little did he know that he was literally being immortalized in cinema history.
If you're looking for ransom, I can tell you I don't have money, but what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you.
You know, maybe I can give you an autograph, huh? What you say, big boy?
Oh yeah, how on earth can you leave something like this out of a list which includes flexes? I mean, it's got a prisoner who's warning the other prisoners about being locked in with him. Imagine how much of a badass you need to be for the danger levels in a prison to increase the moment you're brought there. Of course, the brutality of Rorschach's may have gone to certain extremes, but that was only because the other inmates were trying to mess with him.
You're locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me.
Clearly, they made a mistake, and Rorschach wasn't going to let it go unpunished. Even as the guards came in to restrain him, they couldn't stop his iconic flex from being uttered. And it was from that moment onwards that Watchmen became more about Rorschach than it did about anyone else.
Never disposed of sewage with a toilet before. Obvious, really.
Is it really a video about flexes if we don't have John Wick wrecking the place? In this case, he ain't just limited to a place, but rather the whole world as a bounty is put on him and everyone tries to attack him at the same time. Sure, they would be considered smart because of the numbers advantage, but the one blunder they committed was underestimating their enemy. John Wick doesn't care if he's up against a single opponent or hundreds of them at the same time. He can end everyone because he's the kind of boogeyman that makes Kendrick Lamar look soft. Bro got shot multiple times, had a human Hulk going at him, and was outnumbered to a whole other level, but he still came out on top because he's John freaking Wick. Also, how the hell did that fat dude survive a bullet to the head? Bro had to get double tapped as if John was dealing with a zombie.
Tell them all. Whoever comes, whoever it is, I'll kill them. I'll kill them all.
I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
I'm buying this hotel and setting some new rules about the pool area.
Billionaires can really just buy their way out of trouble, can't they? In this case, we have Bruce Wayne being the player that he is yet again by buying an entire hotel just so that his European lady friends can enjoy themselves in the fountain. That waiter must have had his heart in his mouth the moment Bruce told him that he was buying the hotel because the dude was trying to act all brave and stuff just a few seconds before. It really is a serious flex to just be like, oh, this place doesn't like my style? No problem. I'll just buy it and change everything. At this point, I'm convinced that Christian Bale totally kept some of that Patrick Bateman energy in reserve for this role.
Nice car.
You should see my other one.
Big man in a suit of armor. Take that off, what are you?
Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
Yep, it's his only entry on this list, but there couldn't have been anyone better to claim the top spot than our very own Iron Man. Tony Stark isn't the type of dude who prefers to be subtle about his achievements, so when Captain America tried to take him down verbally, he only got owned by our man's aura.
You know, you may not be a threat, but you better stop pretending to be a hero.
A hero? Like you? You're a laboratory experiment, Rogers. Everything special about you came out of a bottle.
Like, sure, Steve Rogers also has an entry on this list, which means he knows what flexing encompasses, but when you're up against the MCU's King of Sass, there's no option for victory. After all, you'll never be a genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist at the same time now, will you? I know there are rumors of the OG Avengers coming back for Secret Wars, but can Marvel just go back to making movies like these, please? Deadpool and Wolverine was a start, but we seriously need a long-term change in direction, you know?
Okay, it's not working out. I'm gonna need this monster forever. If you're nothing without this monster, then you shouldn't have it, okay?
Hope you like this video. Please subscribe to the TV Region, and here's another video I know you're going to enjoy.